Theo Von has officially quit the King and the Sting podcast. Yes, he has finally left the side of Brendan Schaub. He announced this on the King and the Sting. It's officially over. Theo finally leaving that sinking ship that is Thick Boy Studios. But I knew this was going to come eventually. I mean, Theo doesn't like doing that show with Brendan Schaub, and he always just did it because there was a network there. But now the network is dead. This show is on Patreon. They're not making as much money as they thought. Like I said, Brendan Schaub is losing money doing this. He's not making money to support a studio and a staff and everything. And Theo sees that, and now he's hooked up with Brendan Schaub, and Brendan Schaub is in this beef with Bobby. Theo likes Bobby and Kalila, and now he's doing a show with that creep Chris D'Elia. So he just said, you know what? The Theo Von podcast on its own is bigger than anything Schaub's got going now. So he's probably just going to do that. And now his association with Brendan Schaub is officially done. I wonder now, they keep this King and the Sting podcast still behind a Patreon, but now it's just going to be D'Elia and Brendan Schaub and that Eric Griffin guy from time to time. And D'Elia's pretty much already had enough of Schaub anyway on that podcast. He's probably going to be the next one to leave it, because D'Elia is in a similar situation where his podcast and Patreon by himself is bigger than doing one with Brendan Schaub. Brendan Schaub brings zero to the game. I mean, the only thing Brendan Schaub brings to the game is he's Joe Rogan's friend, but that really means nothing when Joe Rogan lives in Austin, Texas. I mean, and it's not like he's going to be able to get D'Elia on Rogan. Although, he did technically get Callen on. So you never know. But Rogan and Callen are like best friends in real life. So that's probably easier than getting D'Elia on. So I imagine Chris D'Elia being the next one to dump this King and this Sting in the Wing, whatever the hell they're calling it, podcast. But Theo Von, I bet you it was the Bobby Lee thing that pushed this over the edge, the final decision. Because we all know Theo has been wanting to leave that show for a while. He's taken hiatuses from it. The dude moved to Tennessee. But this one was official. He announced, yep, I'm done. He said from time to time maybe he'll come on as a guest. Very infrequent, because I don't honestly see this podcast going on that much longer. I mean, I don't know how much of Daddy's money Brendan Schaub is going to be allowed to burn on this failed business venture of Thick Boy Studios. Ugh, it disgusts me every time I say it. And every time I see it in legal documents, I just go, really? Is this really Thick Boy Studios? So, I wonder now, do they bring on somebody new? Like, what new guy? They're not going to get Callen, are they, on King and the Sting? That would make no sense. That Eric Griffin dude. And by the way, with Theo leaving, by the way, I bet you at least half of the people who are subscribed to this on Patreon, they immediately leave. Probably even more. I bet you the biggest part of that fan base were just people who supported Theo Von. And now they're probably like, all right, Theo's not here. We have to listen to Dummy, speak with Creepy, and then speak with kind of black guy. I don't know. But, wow. It's really all crumbling around you, isn't it, Baba? They're all jumping ship now. Look at them. I don't know what Brendan Schaub does going forth now. I mean, the dude can't sell tickets to his stand-up shows. So the stand-up thing is basically done. His main podcast, The Fighter and the Kid, the view. I don't even remember the last time they did an episode that even cracked 100,000 views. And this was the only thing he had that maybe had some promise. They mainly made it a Patreon thing. I haven't checked out those numbers, but I don't think they're that great. But like I said, this at some point in time, Brendan Schaub has to justify, all right, I own studio space. I'm paying producers and editors, and there's no money coming in. There's zero money coming in. Like I said, if Brendan Schaub was just the dude at his house making YouTube videos, he'd be making a decent enough living, but there's no advertisement paying, no views to justify paying all these people this money to do stuff. Theo Von sees that, and Theo Von is now officially out the door. I bet you right now, Bobby Lee is like doing backflips. You know what would be hilarious too? If like Theo Von leaves the King and the Sting, but then does a podcast with Bobby Lee. That would be hilarious and the ultimate backstabbing. Schaub would see that as. But it would be like extremely funny. But Theo, I'm still going to be a fan of Theo Von and check out all of his stuff. I bet you now his content, he'll be a lot more happier. He'll probably be able to dress stuff more whenever Brendan does something stupid and not have to worry about, oh, I can't say anything or do anything really because I do a podcast with the guy. But I love how, who's the next to leave? Like I'll put money at D'Elia is not going to be doing this podcast with Schaub for within 3 months. The dude can hardly handle it now. The only justification was that you had like a Theo Von on the show, but I don't even see D'Elia sticking around. So I guess Theo Von probably looked and saw him go on. I'm not doing it. Not enough money, not enough patrons, and now Theo's gone, and this dummy thinks I'm still going to do a show with him. No, I don't see D'Elia staying. But this was official. I would like to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about Theo Von quitting the King and the Sting podcast.